When you think about recording and posting videos on YouTube, do you ever think to yourself, who am I to be on YouTube? Who am I to record myself and put myself online? I'm not an expert. I haven't studied my niche for 30 years and have 5 degrees. Why would anyone want to watch me? People will think I am so arrogant to believe that I can teach people something. If you've had thoughts like these, then you should know that you're not alone. It's more common than you might think. Feeling this way is not about your level of confidence or your level of knowledge. It's about getting clear on which thoughts you believe and which thoughts you don't. In this video, I'm going to talk about where these kinds of thoughts come from and 3 things that you can do that have helped my clients and me keep from getting stopped on our YouTube journey. Hello, I'm Isaac. I'm a sensitive creator with complex trauma, and this is Deep by Design. Let's talk about it. So a client brought this up the other day. She has wanted to record videos for over a year now, but every time she even thinks about recording, she feels that cold, heavy rock of fear in her stomach. The fear that she will be judged for putting herself out there on YouTube. The fear of being exposed as a fraud, or even just as someone who isn't worth watching. She gets frozen and paralyzed. And this has happened while she was setting up her camera, while she was recording and speaking to the camera, and even when she watched herself back in her recording. This worry has been one of the main blockers that has stopped her from putting herself on YouTube. And her teaching business is suffering because of it. I've struggled with these thoughts as well, so here's what I see. These thoughts come from the inner critic and the outer critic. I think we've all heard of the inner critic, but if you haven't heard of the outer critic before, it was coined by Pete Walker, and it's a way to differentiate the 2 types of critical and fearful thoughts that we often have. There's the inner critic voice that says critical things like, who am I to talk about this subject? I'm not an expert. And then there's the outer critic voice that focuses on how others might react and says things like, people will judge me. They will think I am so arrogant for trying to teach on YouTube. Both voices sound like our own voice, which makes these thoughts so easy to believe. Most of the time, we just believe them by default. We often don't question our own thoughts. It's only when we take a step back and really look at them that we realize, that's actually a really harsh thing to say. And I would never say something like that to anyone. And for people with complex trauma, I think these thoughts are even harsher and they can hit us even harder. But it helps to remember that the inner and outer critics were created when we were under intense, ongoing stress and suffering, often when we were very young. And they were trying to keep us safe in the only way they knew how. This is how they try to steer you away from anything that involves risk. So now let's talk about what helps when these thoughts come up. Here are 3 things that I told my client that have helped me to record myself and post videos online. The first thing I told my client was that the most important thing is to be able to identify these voices when they get activated and start talking to her. Just like you know the sound of your friend's voice or your parents' or child's voice, you have to get just as familiar with the inner and outer critic voices. You might still believe those voices because they can be very persuasive. But at least in those moments when you want to set up your camera and press record and they start talking, at least then you can say to yourself, yep, there's that voice again. It's really trying hard to protect me. but I know from quieter and calmer moments that my heart has been calling me to do this. So even though I'm believing these critical, harsh thoughts right now, I'm choosing to trust my heart and keep going. If you keep doing this over time, you'll start to see these thoughts simply as part of the process of recording and posting. Just like you have to set up your camera, you are going to have these thoughts that are trying to protect you, that don't want you to take the risk of recording yourself and putting yourself on YouTube. One way to practice this is with my free guide. It's a creative nervous system check-in, and it supports you in moments when you want to move forward with YouTube, but you feel too overwhelmed. It's free, and there's a link in the description. The second thing I told my client changed the way she saw the value that she provides to her audience and why people would choose her over an expert. A wonderful thing about YouTube is that you don't have to be an expert. You just have to be a few steps ahead of the person you're speaking to. This is something a lot of the Grow on YouTube creators talk about, and for good reason. It really does take the pressure off. There are so many content creators on YouTube now, and whatever niche you pick, there will probably be someone who has more experience, who has been on YouTube for longer, and who has more subscribers than you. But that's okay, and here's why. Just imagine this. There's a person out there, probably many more people out there, who are struggling with an issue that you know something about. Maybe you're not an expert, but maybe you have lived experience because you've been through it yourself. Or maybe you're still in it, and that's fine. You just have to be 1 or 2 steps ahead. People don't care if you're an expert. They care about finding a solution to their problem. And if they see someone who has dealt with what they've been through, or is at least a few steps ahead of where they are, they will listen. The thing about experts is, often they are so advanced that they've forgotten what it's like to be a total beginner. You've probably been through this yourself when you're learning a new skill, or dealing with a scary health diagnosis, or dealing with a painful issue in your personal life. You're coming to it needing information, but also needing reassurance and connection and hope. Experts have often forgotten what it's like to be at the very beginning of the journey, so you actually have an advantage. You can remember what it was like to be a few steps back because you were just there. Maybe it's been a few years, but it's still fresh enough that you can relate to the struggles and pain of the beginners. The third thing I said to my client changed how she saw her place on YouTube and what would attract people to her channel. People will watch your videos because they resonate with your vibe and the way you speak about your subject. That's it. I see this with myself all the time. When I scroll on YouTube, I see all these amazing experts with amazing content. And yet, most of the time, I don't click on any of them because I just don't resonate with them. Something about their vibe, the way they talk, it just doesn't click with me. I don't dislike them. They just don't resonate with me. People will resonate with you because of the way you are. It's chemistry, it's connection, it's resonance, and it's totally out of your control. All we can do is show up with our vibe and our way of recording, and the people who resonate will watch. That's it. It really does take the pressure off when you realize that you can't make anyone on YouTube watch your videos. No matter how flashy or perfectly spoken or perfectly edited or whatever. If the person who sees my thumbnail doesn't resonate with me, then they're going to keep scrolling. So my job is to be the most me that I can be. and the people who resonate will show up. And if you've ever felt like you just cannot be yourself on camera, like you feel fake and inauthentic when you try to record yourself, I have a video all about why that happens and what you can do to feel more aligned between your heart and your videos. You can find it right here or in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Isaac, and this channel is Deep by Design. I'm really glad you're here. Until the next one, be kind to yourself and take good care.